Welcome, 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 everybody. Appreciate you all joining us today. We've got some cool topics to cover, a lot of time in the week, a lot of things you guys could be doing. So we appreciate you spending the time with us. If you don't mind, as you're coming in, just cut your cameras on. It's a great way to get to interact in the Zoom environment. So we really appreciate that. Much better than talking to a bunch of black squares with names on it. Much better, much rather see you all's faces. Peter's logging on right now. He had some tech problems, so he's switching over to a different computer. But tonight we just wanted to talk about finding the most profitable deals in your area. And so what I kind of wanted to get to know at first as we're diving in here, you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the chat. Just shoot in the chat where you're from, what area you're calling from, what area you're going to be investing in. I always like to kind of see where everybody's from, what area you guys are calling out of. We've got Victoria from Montana, Chelsea in Orlando, Charles Smith's in Texas. And the really cool thing about what we're going to be talking about tonight, and I'm sure Peter's going to touch on it, is the skill set that it takes to find these types of deals applies to everywhere. Markets are tough, markets are easy, there's ups and downs in the economy, but those tried and true ways of finding deals is really something that you can kind of always consistently back on. And it looks like we've got James from Colorado, Bear from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, Curtis from Lakeland, Florida. So we've got people joining us from all over. Really appreciate you guys being here tonight. If you haven't already, if you don't know about partner driven, I'd like to talk a little bit about that. Here Peter and Julie are teaming up with investors all over the country to do more deals. Really, for new investors, it's to kind of help you get your foot in the door, the safest, cheapest way to do real estate investing deals. For our partners that are already current investors, really the goal is scaling and expansion, finding a way to have more infrastructure so that you can do more deals. And so really kind of unlocking that next level of doing deals. So what I'd like to kind of know is what level of investing are you guys at? What's kind of the experience of the people that are in the call today? Are you a new investor? Are you looking to scale? Have you been doing this for 30 years? I kind of like to get to know that about the people that are joining us in the call. So it's looking like Victoria's new, Rachel's new, Adriana's brand new, Raquel's new, Kurt's new, Charles done some wholesales, Roman 25 years brokering, Andre 25 years looking to scale, absolutely. And that's kind of the thing, is always unlocking more infrastructure so that you can do that. So love to see it. Kind of the same thing as the regions, having the ability from new to beginning, or from new to experienced and everything in between, to kind of unlock that next scale of doing deals. So love to see it. Glad you guys are in here. Chelsea, was that Peter I saw just jump in the call?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, let's see if Peter's with us. And he might not be.
Yeah, he's just
Just
having a tech issue.
yeah. But regardless, kind of what we're going to do tonight is Peter's going to dive into some coaching, some training. We're going to talk a little bit. And then at the end, we would like to do a Q&A session where you guys can just cop on here, raise your hands, ask us any questions of what you got going on. So we're going to have that session towards the end. We try to keep it to about an hour long. Don't want to eat too much of your time up this evening. So we're going to make sure we're nice and efficient there as we're diving into things. And maybe Peter, I've seen Peter join the call and leave it 2 or 3 times now. So hopefully we're getting there. But one thing I would like to do for a lot of you guys that are joining us, we do have a free community and circle that we've recently started. So Chelsea's going to drop a link into the chat. If you haven't already, that's a version of the community where all of our partners are. So feel free to join in there, interact. There's some free training, some free coaching, some get to know us things in there. That's the platform all of our partners use. So drop that, Chelsea just dropped that link in the chat. So feel free to join that community. Peter, glad we got you on here. Glad we're getting over the tech problems. I was just kind of filling everybody in on how we're going to talk to them tonight about looking for these off-market deals, about finding those profitable deals in their area. And I'll kind of let you take things over.
All right, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for being here, guys. I'm getting set up. The tech issue was very simple. My IT guys bought me the most razzle-dazzle computer that existed on this place of this world, and for a week straight hadn't been working straight. That's the IT issue. So, but I think we got it worked out. So what I did is I went back to my old computer. So I apologize, took a moment. But good to see you all. Good to see you, Adriana. Good to see you, Nicholas. How are you? Steve? Boy, that name rings a bell. I don't know if you're the same Steve Poglia that I know from the past, but that rings a bell. Hey, Miss Washington, looking good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Felipe, good to see you. I love the background. Charles and Felipe, you guys are either in the same room or the same background, but you are like in the exact same spot. I love it. William Johnson, good to see you, sir. Miss Victoria, good seeing you. All right, guys, if you don't mind, as we roll into this thing, turn on your cameras. I promise you, I will not keep you long. I do not like, even I heard David say we're going to stay here for an hour. I couldn't tolerate somebody talking for an hour, so if I can't do it, I'm not going to make you do it either. I like to be in and out. What I want to do is I want to teach you a little bit. I want to teach you what has helped me do what I've done in the real estate space. And for those of you that don't know what I've done, I got a couple things going for me. Number one, I have longevity. I've been in this thing for a couple decades. And for those of you that know anything about real estate, like I'm proud of that. That doesn't, most people can't say that. I have longevity, but not only longevity because I've been in it for a while, but I've been active that whole time. And in that time, I've done literally thousands and thousands of real estate transactions. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take just a little bit of time and I want to teach you some of the things I've learned over the couple decades of being in this business. Because I could tell you this whole premise that real estate has to be difficult is not true. This whole premise that real estate has to be unpredictable is totally not true. This premise that it's a lot easier to lose money than to make money does not have to be true. All of these things that make real estate kind of this black hole, let's face it, to a lot of people. Now, mind you, a ton of people want to be in this business. As a matter of fact, I would say when it comes to anything in life, I would put this up with people that want to do investing like stocks and the stock market. I think real estate investing is right up there. But if you think about it, if you ask 100 random people in the street, hey, have you ever invested in stock market, or do you have any money in the stock market, or whether it's directly or indirectly, maybe a lot of people through their retirement accounts. I'd say probably, I don't know how many, but probably 50%, 40, 50, 60% of people will say, yeah, I dabbled in the game, or I'm still involved in the business. And I bet just as many people in the real estate space who want to be in the real estate also want to be in a investment world, the stock market. But I bet when you really ask people, how many of you actually done anything, like actually done a deal? I bet out of 100, if you find 3, you're lucky. And if you think about it, like, why is that? Why is that everybody wants to be in this game? Almost nobody is not familiar with this. There's a lot of businesses people just aren't familiar with, right? They're like, well, I've never heard of that. Like my mom was a nuclear chemist. That's like, she was my mom, and I still don't get what the heck it is they do. My dad was a PhD scientist. He was my dad, and I still don't really get it. But real estate is one of those things most people kind of sort of get, and get pretty well. Why is it like so few people ever become successful at it or even do it? And I think that one of the biggest reasons is that it's a mystery to a lot of people. It really is. In the stocks, it's a little bit simpler. You kind of study a little bit, or you give your money to somebody else and stuff like that. This business has got a lot of moving pieces. But I will tell you, after I've been in this space for a couple decades, there's one thing I learned. It can be simplified. it could be tremendously simplified. Most people don't purposely complicate it, but they complicate it. Most people don't purposely make this, try to make it difficult, but they make it difficult. And so what I want to spend a little time today, a couple minutes with you guys, I want to share with you a shortcut. And this is a big, powerful shortcut. And this is something I learned through trial and error. But had I known what I'm about to teach you in this business, like had I known this when I got started, easily, like I'm not even exaggerating, easily I could have saved myself millions of dollars. Easily I could have shortened my personal learning curve. And easier, instead of doing thousands of real estate transactions, I could probably done twofold, maybe even threefold, had I just known what I'm about to share with you guys today. Oh, and I would have done it in a much more stress-free environment, because I did it in a, especially in a kind of like when I was really grinding, it was very stressful. And I could have done it with a lot less people. Like when I was doing real estate by myself, now I partner with people. But when I was doing real estate by myself, my own deals, my goal was to close all the time 1 or 2 deals a day. 1 or 2 deals a day, 1 or 2 deals a day. And to do that, I had to have an office space. I'm trying to remember now. It was almost 10,000 square feet. I mean, that's a pretty big office building. And every single office in there was taken, and the bullpen was taken by like several people. So for me to operate at that kind of a volume when I was cranking this out by myself, to do 1 or 2 deals a day, a 10,000 square foot full of people helping me achieve what I needed to do. Had I known what I'm about to share with you today, I bet I could have done it with half the staff, probably even less. And not a 10,000 square foot building. I bet I could have done it with a 2,000 square foot office space. So I'm going to share something with you guys today that every single one of you is going to understand. Like I guarantee there's not going to be a single person when I'm done here today that's going to be like, well, that just went over my head, right? Number 2, what I'm going to share with you guys today is very common sense. It's almost like, well, why didn't I think about this? Like, why didn't I figure something like this out? And number 3, what I'm going to share with you guys today, you could implement like tomorrow. I mean, you don't need money to implement what I'm going to share with you today. You don't need an exorbitant amount of time. By the way, you don't need to be in a certain market. There are certain things in real estate I've also learned over 2 decades that only work in certain areas. That's not true. And I'm about to share with you today works anywhere, anytime, for anybody, without a dime of your own money. And the interesting thing is, when I learned this, I started teaching like my partners, people that I flip properties with. And I've never had one person come back that I'm aware of, but I've never had one person come back and say, well, gosh, Pete, I live in such and such area, or, I do such and such thing. But it's just not working. Okay. I mean, this thing works across the board. By the way, we think like we just had 2 closings. Let me check in how they went. Just spoke with me, and he apologized for reaching out to Michael, and he would this week. Michael's the next step, and okay, cool. Yeah, that's another cool thing now. I used to try to do 1 or 2 deals a day. Now that I do deals across the country, it's not uncommon to have multiple deals go down in the day. Anyway, so here's the basic problem, and then here's the shortcut. The basic problem of real estate investing for all of us, one of them, there's a lot of them, right? I know, is if you think about it, where do you do it? Where do you do it? Like, for instance, let me use myself as an example. I live in this little town called Atlanta, Georgia, right? 8 million people in here. And so when I was trying to do one or two, when I was doing this business by myself without partnering, before I started partnering with people, that was a huge question if you think about it. It's a question all of you guys should be asking yourself. Like, where in Atlanta should I do this? Interestingly enough, if you ask people in this business, they tend to have an answer for you. Like, I would go to RIA groups when I started many years ago, like real estate association groups and meetings. And people would tell me like, yeah, this is a great neighborhood. That's a great neighborhood. So everyone's got an opinion about where things should be done for us as investors, right? But if you think about it, there is never a black and white answer. Like, if I use my parents as an example again, like both were engineers. In the engineering world, there are some black and white answers. Like I said, my mom designed nuclear power plants. I mean, there better be some black and white answers when you're dealing with nuclear power, right? You can't just kind of go with the gut. This is where I think this goes, or this is how I think this works. And there's a lot of things like that. If you're an accountant, you're not going to guesstimate where the decimal point goes. Well, I think it goes here, but maybe it goes here, right? Or if you're a physician, a brain surgeon, you're not going to be like, well, somewhere in the brain, I think on the left side or the right side is where I got to check this thing out, right? But in real estate, that's exactly how a lot of people do things. You kind of go with it. You go with the flow a little bit. You go with the gut. You kind of sort of go with what people say. You kind of get you heard this, a feel for the market. But do you guys know there's an actually black and white answer where all of us, it doesn't matter, I in Atlanta, you in Jacksonville, Florida, you in Wisconsin, you in California, you in Dallas, Texas, all of us, there's actually a very black and white answer where you should do this business. Before I understood the shortcut that I'm about to share with you guys tonight, I used to advertise across a whole Atlanta. Matter of fact, my marketing budget, my advertising budget, believe it or not, was $150,000 a month when I was doing my own flips for only one of the strategies for finding deals. Right? Just for direct mail, every month I was kicking in $150K a month. That does not include with all these other techniques and strategies I was using to find deals. And the philosophy back then for me was very simple. Here's Atlanta, Georgia. Here's, several million people in it. And my goal is to advertise in such a way that the right people at the right time see the right kind of ad or whatever, something about me, and something clicks. Kind of like, this guy buys houses. This is a good opportunity for me to sell my house, potentially to discount. And so the two interlocked. And that's really, guys, I'll be honest with you, that's what real estate marketing is for most people. I don't care what technique or strategy you're using. People say, well, Pete, it's a little different if you're like pay for ads or, pay for leads. It's still the same thing. You're hoping somebody on the internet, even if you spend a ton of money, you're still kind of hoping that somebody types in the right thing at the right time, sees your page, has something click in it, and then a transaction happens. So in real estate, there really is no systematic approach to marketing. There really isn't. I've done all kinds of techniques and all kinds of strategies. And again, I'm not talking about going with your gut or doing where other investors are doing things. I get all that stuff. But the reality is, we're advertising it kind of like Coca-Cola advertising. We're putting a bunch of stuff out there and we're hoping that enough people will see the Coke ad enough that when they want something sugary, something Coke like, they'll be thinking Coca-Cola, right? The problem is we can't compare ourselves to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola could literally put billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars indiscriminately into marketing, and for them it works. But one of the biggest reasons it works is because they have billions and billions of dollars to put into it. And they have tremendous amount of resources. We don't. But I just made a statement to you guys a couple minutes ago. It is possible in every market, it doesn't matter where you live, it is possible to literally zero in on where all the good deals are located. That's an incredibly powerful statement for any of you guys that have ever done real estate, that are doing real estate, or that are thinking about doing real estate. That's a question that I'm sure has crossed all of our minds, right? And we answer that question to the best of our ability. Now think about this. If I knew what I'm about to share with you when I was spending $150,000 a month on just one marketing strategy, direct mail here in Atlanta, I would have never spent 150 grand knowing that 140,000 of it was just being thrown out the door. Might as well donate it to charity. Only 5 or 10,000 of it worked. But back then my philosophy was very simple. It's worth to spend 150 to generate whatever 10, 15 deals out of that. Because over 10 or 15 deals, I would make hopefully more than $150,000. That's really the definition of marketing for most people. And when it comes to real estate investing, I'll be honest with you, most people waste, there's really no other word for it, but waste a lot of time chasing after things that'll never materialize in areas where you got a better shot of, finding a gold mine potentially than you do of a good real estate deal. I mean, we all know, and I lived this thing for many years, that in real estate, you could literally spend 24 hours a day chasing things, looking at things, evaluating things, right? And absolutely have zero to show for it. Like I always tell people, if you ever want to waste time, real estate is a great place to figure out how to do it. There's plenty of people, and probably some people on here tonight, that spend an inordinate amount of time in this business, and there's no way you're satisfied with the output you've gotten from the input. Part of the reason is you don't know what I'm about to share with you. You don't know how to strategically go to your market, and instead of spending $150,000 a month, you could literally spend $5,000 a month and actually have a pretty good chance of getting better results than the guy like me who used to spend $150,000 a month. So what I want to share with you right now, guys, if you ever take notes, this may be a good time to take some notes. I want to share with you the secret of how to literally pinpoint areas in your marketplace. And by the way, I don't care where your marketplace is. This is not a marketplace-driven strategy. This is not like, oh, Pete, I live in an area that has too many people. I live in an area that doesn't have enough people. I live in an urban. I live in a rural. I live in a black area. I live in a white area. I live in the East Coast. I live in the West Coast. I live where, this, or I live. This has nothing to do with any of that. This is something that every single one. As a matter of fact, I want to get a little granular about this, more than I actually like to do, usually. And my goal here is I describe to you over the next couple minutes the shortcut of identifying where almost all the good deals are located where you live. My goal is to have a majority of you in your head have a light bulb go off and say, oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. I know exactly the area where I live that has exactly what he's talking about. So my goal is to go from big to little, meaning, wow, there's a big marketplace there, and how in the world do I find a good deal, to, wow, there's a way to condense this whole thing, make it not macro, but make it micro, and be a lot more effective and be a lot more efficient and have a lot more results. So my goal in the next couple of minutes is simply paint a picture for you guys. And the picture is this. I'm going to share with you where about 70 to 80% of all the good deals are located where you live. Location-wise. That's pretty powerful. Because right now, most of you guys are at 100%. Like it's a free-for-all, right? We're going to go from that and we're going to zero in on 70 to 80% of almost all the good deals are located. And I'm going to make this other claim and statement to you guys. By the end of tomorrow, every one of you can have these areas identified. There won't be anyone by the end of actually tonight. It's just I know most of you won't do it tonight. But there won't be anyone by the end of tonight who'll be like, well, I'm lost. You know? And by the end of tomorrow, for anyone that wants to have these areas and pockets identified, every single one of you could do it. Are we ready? Can I see a couple of hands? Are we ready to go into this? All right. And like I said, I don't usually tell people to take notes when I'm talking. I don't think I have too much incredibly exciting or informative things to say. But today, if you do take notes, might not be a bad day to take some notes because I'm just going to paint a picture. I'm going to give you the characteristics of what these pockets, of what these areas look like in your marketplace. Because ultimately, that's where every single one of you needs to spend your time, your effort, your energy, and even, yes, your money if you're spending money on finding deals. Okay? Number one. Ultimately, I want every single one of you to identify 3 to 5 areas that I'm about ready to describe to you. So this is not a one area. This is a 3 to 5 areas. And this is not one long congruent area. These are distinct pockets. None of these pockets should be touching each other. So instead of having 3 to 5, you have this one big blob that looks like a football field. Each one should have a minimum of about a mile to mile and a half in between them. Okay? Let's get into characteristics. Characteristic number one is a size characteristic. Each one of these pockets is approximately a mile to mile and a half in diameter. All right, so we're looking for areas, we're looking for pockets that are approximately a mile to a mile and a half. Now the word that comes to my mind is circumference. Is diameter and circumference the same words? Do they have anything to do with each other?
We're close enough. We're in the right ballpark.
Close enough. You guys get it. Should be a circle of about a mile to a mile and a half. How about that? Characteristic number two. These are the important ones. Inside each one of these pockets, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see A, all kinds of different real estate, and B, all kinds of different people. Okay, so we're looking for pockets about a mile, mile and a half wide. And inside of these pockets, you are going to see you're going to see real estate that's got all kinds of characteristics, all kinds of different looks to it. So now let me start painting a picture. So just imagine you're driving inside one of these pockets. And let's say I have your telephone number, so I call you. All right? I call you, and I'm like, William, describe to me what you see in front of you as you're driving. Mr. Johnson's answers to me, watch this, guys, because I'm going to start painting the picture right here. William's answer back to me would be something like this. Pete, As I'm looking around, I see all kinds of different real estate and all kinds of different people. And that literally describes the pockets we're looking for. Let me give you more specific. So William may be driving there and he looks to his right and he sees a new house. He drives a block or two down the road and he sees a 200-year-old house. So you may have some newer and some older. He's continuing to drive in the same pocket. And what does he see? He sees a fixer-upper, a house that apparently, obviously needs work. He drives another block or two and he sees a drop-dead gorgeous property. He's driving and what does he see? He sees a single-family home. He looks across the street. He sees an apartment building. He's driving and he's obviously in a residential area. He's got a house. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he sees a commercial building. He's driving and he sees in front of him a single family structure. And he's driving a block or two down the road and he sees a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5-story structure. You guys starting to get the picture? He's driving there and then William's like, hey, I see a black kid right here. He looks to his left and he sees a white kid. He's driving around and he sees what appear to be a bunch of single people that live in the area. He's driving a little bit further down the road and he sees a bunch of families playing in a little park with kids. And so I say, William, come on, I need you to really zero down. Describe to me the area. And William keeps on telling me the same thing over and over. He's like, Pete, I'm telling you, dude, there's a little bit of everything here. I see a little bit of this. I see a little bit of that. I'm going somewhere with this, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me explain to you why we as investors need to zero in on these pockets and on these areas. Because what happens in these areas, follow this logic. In these areas, you have a little bit of this, you have a little bit of that. You have a little bit newer, a little bit older, a little bit of beautiful, a little bit of ugly, a little bit of white people, a little bit of black people, a little bit of houses, a little bit of apartment, a little bit of residential, a little bit of commercial, a little bit of single population living there, a little bit of family population there. What happens because of that, you have what are known in these pockets as pricing fluctuations. A pricing fluctuations in real estate simply means this. As William continues his little journey around this mile or two area, he notices a house for sale. I'm like, William, pull over, ask how much it costs. He pulls over, calls the for sale sign. The other side, the agency tells him, this house is for sale for, I'm making up numbers. This house is for sale, $75,000. I'm still talking to William on the phone. He goes another 4 or 5 blocks down the road. He's like, Pete, there's another house for sale. I'm like, call on this house. Calls on that house. Remember, that first house was under 70,000, right? Or 100,000. All of a sudden, he goes 3 to 4 blocks the road, and another calls on another house, and they're telling him this is a $320,000 house. See what happens, follow the logic on this. In these pockets where you have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, what that creates is what is known in real estate as pricing fluctuations. You got lower, higher, lower, higher, higher, lower, all over the place. No rhyme or reason. The next logical step is this. Pricing fluctuations, ladies and gentlemen, create, believe it or not, the #1 environment in real estate where almost all the good deals are located. So let's run through the logic. The reason I'm going to insist that the first thing William does as we start doing deals together is that you get strategic about this. Let's not hit the whole city USA. Let's hit pockets in city USA, because then we could be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective. And then when William says, well, Pete, what's the pocket? It's very simple, William. It's the pocket that's got a little bit of everything. And when he says, why that pocket? I tell him, William, it's because a little bit of everything creates pricing fluctuations. And William, we know statistically, those of us that study real estate, we know statistically that pricing fluctuations literally create one of the top, if not the top environment where all the good deals are located. Now, William, I'm picking on you, William. Is that okay if I pick on you today? William may not be the sharpest cookie in the box. And he looks at me, he's like, Pete. He's like, Pete, I got to get more clarity in this whole thing. So watch this, William. I'm going to take you opposite way, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say, William, let me give you the opposite of this. The opposite of what I just described to you, William, is where everything is the same. And we also know areas like that where we live. In real estate, there's a term for that. It's called cookie cutter. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Now, in the cookie cutter neighborhoods and areas, we all have those. You've been there, and you're driving through them, and it's everything. It's like, it's all 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square feet. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square feet. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. You know, you guys have been there, right? That's the opposite of this, what we just described. And so I'm like, William, this is why we stay away from the cookie cutter areas. Because just like we logic these other areas out, let's logic the cookie cutter areas out. In a cookie cutter area, William, everything looks the same. Agreed?
Yes.
And here's the problem with that when everything looks the same in real estate. When everything looks the same in real estate, Mr. William, it also tends to be priced the same.
Correct.
You know, if you think about it, if I'm in an area where everything is 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 200 square feet, right? All the same. It looks the same, smells the same, feels the same. And everybody who puts their house in the market, they put it for about 150 and they sell it for about 150. Why in the world, if I want to sell my house, would I sell it for 50 or for 60? There's absolutely no reason. The guy across the street got his 150. The guy down the road got his 150. Now I got to sell mine. I'm getting my 150, right? Even William, if I'm in trouble, and let's say I'm in a pre-foreclosure mode and I got to sell quick, well, I might go a little bit below the market, right? Instead of going for my 150, I'll take my 140. I'll take maybe 130, maybe even 125, just to create that illusion, that whole thing for other buyers that are walking in to say, wow, that's the cheap one, right? It might only be cheaper by 5 or 10 or 15 grand. But the problem with that, William, watch this. The problem with that for us as investors, it's not a big enough spread for us to get excited about. It's a big enough market play, right, William? It's a big enough market play for me to sell my house because I'm 5 or 10K below. And if it all looks the same, why would anyone pay over that? But we as investors, we need bigger spreads. We can't take a $5 or $10 or even $15,000 or $20,000 spread even a $150,000 deal. That's too tight. Commission will eat up 10,000 of it. To close it, will
Correct.
eat up another 5, 6, 7, right? That's a money loser. But now let's go back to those other areas, those what I call hodgepodge areas, where it's everything all over the place. Because it's everything all over the place, you got these market spikes. No, it's not even a good word. You got these pricing fluctuations. And one more time, ladies and gentlemen, pricing fluctuations create the #1 environment where almost all the good deals are located. So as I come to a close here tonight, I want you guys to understand, whether this is your first time in real estate investing and you're trying to figure out, wow, where do I start to even find a deal? Or whether you've already done 50 or 100 deals and you're trying to get more effective and more efficient and smarter with your time and more strategic with the dollar you're spending on marketing. And you're like, how do I do that? That is how you do that. This is what allowed me to go from a $150,000 budget to a $5,000, $10,000 budget. It's all about understanding the shortcuts in real estate investing. Because just like in life, when they tell you there ain't no shortcuts, that's just not true. There's a ton of shortcuts in life. A ton. You just got to know what they are and how to utilize them. In real estate investing, it's the same thing. It's just you got to learn how to shortcut. The other thing I will tell you why in real estate it's important to learn these type of shortcuts is that real estate, and no one's going to disagree with me if you have any kind of experience in real estate. Real estate is a very unforgiving business. Very unforgiving business, right? It's got a ton of upside, but man, does it have a devastating downside. So if you don't take these shortcuts and you take the long pathway, the chances of you stepping on a minefield or making a real bad mistake, like, go through the roof. And for a lot of us, like for me, even when I got started, my mistakes cost me everything. Cost me all my money, my reputation, 3 years of my life, literally. It set me back financially 3 years. I had to work 3 years to get out of the hole I created in the first 6 months of this business. It's like, how many can relate to that? Cost me incredible amount of stress. But I didn't understand the shortcuts. I did not understand that there's ways to circumvent the system. There's ways to strategically set this business up, that it's not a free-for-all. You know, to a lot of people look at real estate as a free-for-all business. Like, you have a great month, which means you're going to have a bad month a month or two from now. You got 1 or 2 deals going on, which probably means sooner or later you're going to have no deals going on. It's the ebb and flow. Is there some ebb and flow? Of course, just like there's ebb and flow in every business. But the reality is, if you understand these shortcuts, it is very possible to make real estate a very consistent, believe it or not, a very predictable business. That you could literally pinpoint that 90 days from now, this is what it's going to look like. And 120 days from now, this is what's going to look like. But it's all understanding how to line things up and how to shortcut and circumvent this whole thing. And I will tell you what I taught you today, for those of you that will go out there and implement this, is an incredible shortcut. That in my heyday, and heydays is not the right word, but in my very intense days when I was doing 1 or 2 deals a month, a day, when I was just in Atlanta before I went national, I had to literally go after the whole Atlanta to do that. There was 150 grand a month just in the marketing, just in one strategy for marketing. You guys understand how stressful that is? When every month you wake up on the first and just for one of your marketing strategies, you got to stroke a check for 150 grand, which basically meant the first 5 or 10 deals didn't matter. And that was just one marketing strategy. To be able to go from that to ultimately be able to go to a very strategic plan that not only shrunk the marketing budget, but made my business a lot more predictable, a lot more consistent. And you know what? A lot more profitable. And that in the end is what real estate investing is. And I got a couple minutes left here tonight, so I'm going to stay on and answer some questions. But I will tell you, for those of you that know what I do, I partner with people. I do deals now. The reason I keep on going back to my old days tonight and saying when I used to do this by myself, because many years ago, I used to do real estate investing by myself. I mean, I had a team and I had a building and an office and an infrastructure and a construction outfit, and I had a money guy sitting right in my office, and I had a monster. Today, my model is very different. Today, I partner with individuals across the United States, people just like you guys, and I do deals with them. Part of the reason our partners have so much success, there's two main things why my partners have so much success. One of them is what we provide for them. That's a huge, huge play. We coach them, we train them, we support them, we set up the marketing infrastructure for them, we provide them with technology to help them identify deals, we put in a national closing agency to close deals. We put up 100% of all the money. The partners don't have to bring even a penny to buy a property or to carry a property or to fix a property. We also assume all the risk. We have a construction team that could fix these properties across the United States, and then we split the profits. So that's a huge reason why our partners have such success. No question about it. We do about 90 to 95% of all the heavy lifting when it comes to doing deals with our partners. Where we want our partners to focus on is the helping us find deals. But the other huge reason why we have so much success with our partners is because after I personally beat my head against the wall for a very, very long time in this business, after I personally lost millions and millions and millions of dollars as a result of real estate, after I made every single mistake it is possibly imaginable, I then started doing the right things some years back also. And so the other reason that our partners are as successful as they are and do as many deals as they do is and through me, my team, understand these types of shortcuts. And so when our partners are putting deals together, I know how to shortcut a deal. I'll give you a perfect example. I know you guys can't see my text, but there's a text thread going on from today with one of my partners. It's a deal that he's doing with us in Indianapolis, Indiana. And the deal started at $145,000. That's our buy price. At $145,000, this deal, and my partner's name is Eric, this deal for Eric was not a deal for us. So when he initially brought this deal to us at $145,000, we did a quick due diligence of it. We got a quick way of figuring those things out. It wasn't a deal. By the way, that happened 3 or 4 days ago. Okay? Today, that deal is somewhere between, remember, at 145, not a deal. Today, that deal is hovering somewhere between 95 on a high end and 82.5 on a low end. So basically, we got it from 145 to 95, and I think we can knock this thing down to 85, 82.5. That's a deal. Won a deal at 145 in the 90s. It's a deal all day long. And it's about a $45,000 profit deal. And if we get this thing to where I like it at 82.5, then it's about $50,000 deal. We did that in 3 days. This partner of mine that brought this deal to us was not some newbie that's never done real estate before. This dude's been around for over a decade in this space. And if Eric was on this call today, he would tell you he did not know it was possible to do what we've been able to do in terms of doing that to this deal. It wasn't just a simple, let's just lowball it. This was a whole series of steps that needed to be taken. Another way of saying that is I know how to shortcut things. And so now Eric knows how to do the same thing. So the cool thing about when people partner with myself, my team, I get involved 100% of the deals. People say, you still do deals? You just don't flap your mouth on these seminars and webinars? No, I rarely do. I don't like doing what I'm doing tonight. This don't get me juiced at all. What I love doing is what I did with Eric today. I'm a deal dude. So to this day, I still get involved, believe it or not, on every single deal. Because I know how to do this stuff, and I love doing this stuff. I love doing deals. I could create a deal where most people look at a deal and say there's nothing there. I could create a deal out of it. 100% of the time, no. All the time, no. But surprisingly, a lot of times, part of the reason is what I taught you today. I know these shortcuts it's like I know what most people don't know through my experience, tribulations, failures, roadblocks, and dead ends. And so when people partner with myself and my team, that's really what you're getting. You're getting that side, the training, the support, the due diligence systems, the money, the construction teams, the sales, the closing operation, all. By the way, that's all critical. That's very, very important. But you're also getting this other side of the equation. You're getting the shortcuts because we want to get you there quicker than you even think is possible. So I'll stay on. I got a couple minutes. I'll answer 1 or 2 questions. But for those of you that found what hopefully you guys found some value in it tonight. And also for those of you that are like, dang, I could do deals with a guy like this and his team. Yeah, absolutely. That's what that's what I do. I'm a real estate investor and I partner with people. So for those of you that want to kind of learn more about how to partner with myself and my team, or maybe you're already going through the process, but there's a link that David, you're going to drop inside chat, or Miss Chelsea. So if you guys go to chat and you're like, yeah, I want to learn more about how we could partner and do some deals together, just go to chat and there's a link in there. And just hit that link and fill out your information, and we'll touch base, and we'll just see if we're a good fit. That's all. No pressure, no solicitation. We're just going to see if we're a good fit, because I hope I gave you guys some value. My value back to me is I'm always looking for people that want to do real estate deals. I try to make it as easy and painless as possible. Like I said, we'll put up all the money. We'll fly. We got construction outfit that could be gone that goes across the states. We got a national closing operation. I got an in-house closer. We got multiple hedge funds backing us, so we don't run out of funds. Knock on wood. We got a killer operation here, and so I'm always on the lookout for the next people that want to do deals, because that's how I get to do more deals. All right. Having said that, David, explain how somebody can. I'll stay on for a couple questions, guys. I got 5 kids. I can't stay on these too long because, my kids are when I was walking, my office is on the 3rd floor where we are today, and my kids are screaming, "Dad, Dad!" So I'll stay on, answer 1 or 2 questions, and then I gotta go see the kiddos. How does
we appreciate it, Peter. If you click the react button at the bottom of the screen, there's a raise hand feature that'll bring you on. Roman, looks like we got you on. If you want to come off mute and ask away.
Hey, Roman,
Yes, hi Peter, how are you?
Good, good, good. Good to see you, sir.
With what you were talking about as far as the radius and so on of the location,
Yep.
is it who can go through the tools that you guys provide to see how the functionality works? Uh, you can use maybe that example as your current text message that you were back and forth texting on funding this loan. Just as an example of the process of logging into the system, doing the search, obtaining the information for that specific circumference area that you're referring to of a mile around the area, and then kind of going into the funding. How long does the funding take place? Is it if the deal makes sense? Is it what's the timeline and so on? Thanks.
Yeah. So in terms of who the team does, we teach on this stuff daily, like daily. Exactly what you said, how to log into our technology, how to utilize it, how to figure out areas, yeah, all that kind of stuff. In terms of how to, not just the funding, how's the whole deal work? There's a lot more to deal than us putting up the money. But what that works, I'll give you a conceptual, you know, once, let's say you or somebody identifies a deal, we kick out a contract automatically. You go to dashboard, a contract gets kicked out. Once a contract gets submitted, our team literally within an hour or two jumps on it like that quick. We have that kind of quick response, and we start immediately going through the due diligence inspection process. We got to make sure it's a good deal. Obviously, you're along for the ride because we want you to become a savvy investor. And the title obviously team starts working on the title, clearing all that. And then we figure out what exit strategy to use because we use different exit strategies on these deals. So usually within 3 to 4 weeks we're heading to closing. Make a long story short, for all of these things to take place, if it's a big rehab, obviously that takes longer. To get all the people out there, to get the numbers in hand. If we're doing a quick turn, it's a lot shorter. Sometimes we do pre-marketing. I'm just rattling off different strategies. On the pre-marketing strategies, Roman, we could be in a money-making mode like within 2 days of a deal, like literally, like from the time you bring it in. So we do different techniques and different strategies, and all of them require different times and different efforts and different teams from in-house to act and react. But the point is, the goal from the time you bring a deal in is if there's anything to be had there, even a smithereens of a hope, we're going to jump on it and we're going to try to do everything we can to get that sucker closed off.
And as far as I understand
usually within
on the funding once the deal is funded, that's one thing that's closed. Then we have to wait until the actual property is sold, for example, correct?
Well, yeah, but sometimes that's done the day it's closed. We have the ability to pre-market. Again, depending what strategy. Some of our strategies, we could be literally in a money-making mode 2 days after you bring the contract in-house. And within, a couple weeks, we're getting paid. I mean, super fast. In real estate, that's called beyond fast. That's lightning fast. Some of them take longer. You know what I mean? It all depends. We're not one dimensional. We open ourselves up for multiple techniques and multiple strategies.
So once the people sign up, is there somebody else that does the course that, for example, that you do the introduction course, or?
We have a whole onboarding process. I mean, we have a whole onboarding team, and they onboard the people. And the goal is the goal is not to tie you up in some BS training and all that. I mean, everybody else does that and waste a bunch of time. The goal is within literally after you start up with us to take you through about an hour to an hour and a half process, and boom, you're ready to do deals that quick.
So is there a way to see that with somebody?
See what?
The back end, as far as finding the properties, finding the information on.
Yeah, that's what the onboarding is all about. It
Got it.
shows you the whole everything. That once you get started, you go through that. It's like a checklist. When you get an airplane, you see the pilot going through the checklist. That's what onboarding is. Everybody goes through that.
Got it. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Mr. Charles. Bottom left. There you go. I like it.
All right. Okay, Peter, have you ever done a deal with someone who's come, but before they're onboarded, they have a deal, bring it
Yeah.
to you? You work with people that way?
I mean, you got to start with us. You got to
Mhm.
finalize everything with us. But yeah, there's people that bring deals with them when they start with us. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
You can't do a deal with us before you start because then it becomes a cluster mess. But no, once you start, there's people that bring deals in-house day one.
All right. All right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir. Miss Gloria,
Hey there.
how are you?
Fine, thank you. Is there a because every market is different. So is there like a price?
Yeah, we go over that during exactly what Charles just asked. That's part of our onboarding process. In terms of, okay, in your market, this is what we want to be going after, like price wise and all that. Yeah, that's so good question. The answer is yes, and that's part of the onboarding process.
Thank you.
Yep. The goal, Gloria, the goal with onboarding is literally within an hour, hour and a half launch you that you're capable of starting to put deals together. We do not mess around. We don't put you through some kind of a 6-week, training, blah, 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 that you get burned out and never want to see real estate again. Goals to get you. Remember, we're doing 90 to 95% of all the heavy lifting. So we just want to teach you that 5 or 10% that you need to know to start helping us find deals to get out there and start doing it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I think we've all questioned out. Anybody else have anything else? Beautiful. Well, I try to keep it as simple and as basic and as straightforward. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned something today. What I told you really works, but you got to work it, and you got to take the time to identify these pockets. It is worthy of your time. And David, if you don't mind staying on for an extra minute or two as I log on, but for those of you that want to take that next step and to see what it means to partner with myself and my team, love to have a conversation. There's a link inside chat. Hit that link, put your information in. We'll touch base, and before you know it, we could be doing deals and splitting profit. Roman, do you have another question?
Yeah, just a quick question. It's only residential, 1 to 4 unit, right?
Yeah, resident 4 units and under. That's our specialty. That's what we do better than anyone else out there.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, I enjoyed it. David's going to stay on, give you guys any stragglers the ability to fill out that form. I look forward to working with you all and look forward to go chase some dreams together. Thank you and good night.
Absolutely. Thank you for your
Thank
time,
you,
Peter.
guys.
Everybody,
Thank you.
talk soon.